I never thought Kim Taehyung would walk into my bookstore again that summer. There are some people who enter your life only through songs. For me, Kim Taehyung was one of them. For years, his voice had been a constant presence in my life. It played softly through the speakers of my little bookstore during quiet mornings, accompanied me during late nights spent organizing shelves, and somehow always seemed to understand emotions I couldn't put into words myself. But that was all he was to me, a voice, a face on a screen, a distant star shining from a world far beyond my reach. Or at least, that's what I thought. My name is Wayan, and I own a small bookstore tucked away on a peaceful street where life moved slower than the rest of the city. Most days were predictable. Customers came and went. The scent of old pages filled the air, and I spent my afternoons recommending novels to strangers who eventually became regulars. It wasn't a glamorous life, but it was mine, and I loved it. Then one summer afternoon, everything changed. The bell above the door chimed softly, signaling the arrival of another customer. I barely looked up at first. It was a busy day, and I was too focused on arranging a display of newly arrived books. Welcome to Moonlit Books, I said automatically. No response came. Something about the silence made me glance toward the entrance, and the moment I did, my entire world seemed to stop. A tall man stood near the doorway, wearing a black cap pulled low over his eyes and a mask covering half his face. To anyone else, he would have looked like just another customer trying to avoid attention. But not to me, because I knew those eyes. I knew that presence. And most of all, I knew that voice when he finally spoke. Do you have any poetry recommendations? My heart nearly stopped. Kim Taeyong, standing in my bookstore again, because the truth was, this wasn't the first time we had met. And as I stared at him across the room, memories of the previous summer came rushing back. The summer that had changed everything between us. The summer I had spent months trying to forget. And the summer that somehow was about to begin all over again. The summer before. The truth is, this wasn't the first time Kim Tae-young had walked into my bookstore. The first time happened exactly 1 year earlier. Back then, I had no idea a single afternoon could change my entire life. It was the beginning of summer, the kind of day where the sunlight poured through the windows and painted golden patterns across the wooden floors of Moonleaf books. Business was slow, which wasn't unusual. I spent most of the afternoon reorganizing shelves and quietly humming along to one of my favorite songs, a song sung by Kim Tae-young. I remember laughing at myself that day. After all, I had been a fan of his music for years, not in the obsessive way people might imagine, but in the way someone becomes attached to a voice that has comforted them through difficult moments. His songs had been there when I felt lonely, when I felt lost, when I needed hope, but never, not even once, had I imagined I would meet him, especially not in my little bookstore. Then the bell above the door rang. I glanced up automatically. A tall man stepped inside wearing a dark cap and a mask. At first, I didn't think much of it. Celebrities weren't exactly uncommon in the city, and some people simply valued their privacy. I lowered my eyes and continued arranging books. Excuse me. A deep voice broke the silence. I froze. Something about that voice felt strangely familiar. Slowly, I looked up. The man stood a few feet away from the counter. His eyes met mine. and for a brief moment, the world seemed to stop. No, it couldn't be. My heart started pounding. I had seen those eyes before. In interviews, in music videos, on magazine covers, thousands of times. And yet, seeing them in person felt completely unreal. I stared a little too long, a little too obviously, because the man suddenly smiled beneath his mask. And that's when I knew Kim Taeyong, standing in my bookstore, looking directly at me. I immediately looked away, not because I wanted to, because I was afraid I might embarrass myself. Can I help you find something? I asked, praying my voice sounded normal. Maybe, he replied. His eyes wandered across the shelves. I have been looking for a good poetry book. Poetry, of course. For some reason, that answer suited him perfectly. I walked toward one of the shelves and pulled out a collection of poems. Falling in Love